giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, we live, baby. They ain't playing around today. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. We on Facebook. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still. Boom. We got to get straight down to business today, Cowboys Nation. The scientific method coming up today. Patrick No-C Walker will be joining the show to talk about all things Dallas Cowboys training camp. But before that, we'll hit the roundup. We got some injury updates I want to quickly get to. And then the cool thing about training camp is you get a chance to hear from players and coaches and personnel. Will McClay talked yesterday, and he mentioned very briefly, but he talked about a specific player that kind of sent me down a rabbit hole of that position. And that sent me down a rabbit hole of thinking about what's going on at that position. And we'll talk about all of that. And eventually that'll parlay into Pat. And we'll get his opinion on that specific position as well. Hard open, I know, my bad. But I feel like I got to get to what I got to get to at the beginning of this thing. And then we'll get to Pat No-C Walker later. And maybe we'll get some phone lines in if we can. Cowboys Nation, what's good, though, Bomb Squad? How y'all doing?
Bomb Squad!
With all the pleasantries now out of the window, as my guy Ric Flair would say.
Now that we've said hello, let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business, Cowboys Nation. Let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
Time.
It's time!
Time?
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
I had a feeling that was going to happen there, but we're going to get to this morning roundup because I got some things I got to say about what's going on via injury-wise. We might have a guy returning here soon. Boom, there you go. And that is Luke Schoonmaker, Cowboys Nation. So here's what is the word out there at camp, and we'll talk more about this with Pat. Quote, and this comes from, I think, Michael Gill. He said he's dealing with a partial tear with his plantar fascia. That is more challenging foot injury than a complete tear. Still, he is optimistic. It's been good. I'm just taking a good pace. Hopes to resume practice in the next week or so. And that was a couple days ago. Then it was Todd Archer. Todd Archer said Tuesday he was off to the side in full pads, which could be an indication of his near return. So Luke Schoonmaker dealing with the tear in his foot or the partial tear, I think you're supposed, if it tears completely, you're good to go. But if it's a partial tear, it can be a nagging situation. I hope he's not rushing this thing back, but he does need to get out there if he's going to be playing because tight ends take some time and you cannot take too much time or he'll kind of be behind the 8-ball once the season starts. So we'll keep an eye out on Luke Schoonmaker. I tell you this. I've been saying it for the longest. Once I found out he was a hurt guy, that was the biggest detriment, in my opinion, to the guy. He's got the athleticism. He can block. He was an underrated pass catcher out of Michigan. I really thought he would integrate himself in the top 2 role for this season, but I don't know anymore. So I got to wait to see how he responds to this foot injury, see if it's going to be a nagging situation, and then see if he can get in there and get ready to be a contributor year one at a position that is tough to do that in an offense that he'll probably be option 5 or so, 4 or 5, depending on who's out there. So we'll keep an eye on Luke if he can make his Oxnard debut, which it sounds like it is nearing. Now they did a walkthrough yesterday, and he wasn't a part of the walkthrough. He didn't get in the rotation, according to Gelkin. But Izzy, Simi, and Sam, that sounds like a Disney Channel show. Izzy, Simi, and Sam coming up on Disney. They took part in the walkthrough, so that's good. I'm still a little skeptical on what they'll do with Sam. Sam can obviously participate in his walkthrough. He doesn't have a lower body injury. It's a shoulder injury, so it's more about the physical aspect for Sam. So I don't know if he'll really be practicing in pads today or Saturday. I think is the next time they get in pads as well. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. But Simi and Izzy, I think they're dealing with hamstring injuries, so I don't expect them to practice today. I'll ask Pat about that. But we want to see them get back out there, specifically Simi. But when you got guys in your position, in your room that are stepping up in your absence and you're a young guy, you should be sweating. And I think those guys are. And like I said at the top of the show, one thing that I love media-wise about camp is that a lot of these players or coaches are either contractually obligated to speak to the radio guys or they just do so in general. And that's where you can get some good information, right? We got for instance, CD Lamb. Fantastic interview. Amazing interview. Micah Parsons, fantastic interview. Right? Gallup, Diggs, like Gilmore, all these guys speaking. Hell, yesterday, I didn't get a chance to watch the Tyron Smith interview, and D Schiff called in and said there was something in there that was worthy of I think you taking a look at. So I said, you know what? Let me go check this out. Sidebar, by the way. Man, I'm really rooting for Tyron to at least give us 75% this year. Games-wise. Games, guys. I'm rooting for Tyron to give us 75% games played this year at least. Because this is a good dude. He just wants to go out there and work and play. He don't want to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? He ain't trying to hinder his team. God, man. It sucks if his career ends on just injury plague when he was a Hall of Famer, is a Hall of Famer, I think. But it wasn't even a thought. But these injuries just sucked over the last few years. Nonetheless, man, Tyron Smith did speak. And D Schiff was like, hey, man, he said something about like the pass blocking and catching or something like that. So I said, let me go see what they're talking about here. And they asked Tyron Smith about the pass protection changes. And I'll say this. Tyron's not the guy you could press him about that, right? Because Tyron don't really say a lot. He don't even like doing this. He's obligated to do this, by the way. He said, and he went straight into it. No details, no nothing. He just said, we're not sitting there waiting for the fight. For me, I'm like, okay, keep going. I want to know more. And that was it. So I'm like, man, you know what? If I was them, I would take that question and that response. And when they get Tyler Smith on the show, ask Tyler Smith. Because Tyler Smith going to tell you everything. Tyron Smith ain't going to say much at all. Hey, Tyron, it's a big deal right now about the pass blocking. What's going on with that? The protection. We're not sitting there waiting for the fight. That's it. They wanted more, but they couldn't get no more out of him. So I think that is intriguing. I would love for them to dive in more about what does that mean, Tyron? Sitting there waiting for what the hell was Joe Philbin teaching y'all to do? And when you talk to Duke, and Duke will probably tell you this, Duke is not high on Joe Philbin. And I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, Will McClay, they got a chance to not speak to just players, but guys like Will McClay. I was fortunate enough, and I wish I would have spoke to him more to speak with Will last year at camp, man. Oh, my goodness. I could sit there and talk football with this guy forever. But Will McClay got to talking at camp yesterday with the guys on 105 through the Fan. I can't remember which show. I have the video here, so it'll obviously pop up here in a second. But he talked about a specific linebacker, a year 2 linebacker in one Damone Clark. And I just thought it was noteworthy to take a listen to what he said due to, I think, the importance of Damone Clark this year, not having another veteran in that room, needing him to take that year 2 step. And it sounds like he is taking that year 2 step. So this is Will McClay on Damone Clark. And honestly, just kind of having that trust.
It's year 2 in the system. And, he missed a large portion of last year, the beginning stages of understanding the position and what he's doing and all that stuff. And he just came in And first thing he wanted to do was get on the field. Now he got on the field. Now he's getting that experience. What Damone is extremely fast, extremely athletic. It's starting to make sense to him now. And he can make impact plays all over the field, and he can play on all 4 downs. That's a big key too, is to not be able to play on first and second, typically run downs. Can you play in coverage, and can you help on special teams? And I think he's going to be a big piece of what we do this year.
I think he's going to be a big piece of what we do. I agree, Will. I agree as well. I personally love what I saw from Damone Clark in year 1, given what he was asked to do. And he talked about it. He didn't participate in training camp. He didn't participate in OTAs, any of that type of stuff. Came in and he showed so many, I hate to call it flashes because it wasn't just flashes. He showed a lot. Now, he also showed, being a rookie, being young, not being at training camp and all those things catching up to him as a young rookie who, when the veteran wasn't out there in an LVE, you saw some of that kind of get to him. But obviously you're going to fail sometimes. You just got to learn from those failures. But I'm very high on what Damone Clark can do coming into this year. And I say this about the running back position. I think the same is said about linebacker. There's only so much you can do. But, there's a little things you can tell about both positions in camp is mostly going to be about preseason. But everybody you listen to, they have a lot of good things to say about Damone Clark. And what Will McClay said kind of falls in line with what Brian said on the show yesterday. Now, this clip is about 2 minutes, but I think it's important because it's going to lead us into the next thing. Brian brought us, I asked him about, who would be his proud Brian candidate at camp so far, and he brought up Damone Clark.
I will say this I'll give you one that, just kind of going through the roster a little bit here too. All proud Brian on Damone Cook.
Hey.
Damone
Clark?
And so Clark, excuse
yes.
me, Clark
Like
and Damone Clark. And again, there's another LSU guy. Maybe my proud Brian moments are all reserved for LSU players. But with Clark, they're starting. And I answered a Twitter question this morning about tops. And I said, they were asking me about nickel stuff. And I was talking about Overshown, but then Clark's name came in my mind because they're starting to use Leighton Vander Esch as a rusher. They're starting to put Leighton Vander Esch, like Leighton Vander Esch is now working with, doing drills with like the edge guys, like him, Micah, those guys are down there doing edge work. So, that tells me that Overshown, Clark, those guys are going to get more opportunity to be like true linebackers. And I was kind of with Clark. I was thinking, last year when he was playing, when Vander Esch was out, Clark wasn't the same player. He just didn't look the same. I mean, Vander Esch really, really helped him. Anthony Barr didn't help him.
Yeah.
Anthony Barr was having his own struggles that he was dealing with. And it didn't help Clark, paired with him. But when you put him with Vander Esch, it's a different look. But now they're kind of taking, like I said, they're taking Vander Esch and they're putting him in other roles. But Clark is still in that role he's in. So that tells me that they're having confidence in him and Overshown and those guys, that these young linebackers can function without Vander Esch being there. If we go use Vander Esch for another spot, then we could play these young linebackers and we'll still be okay. So,
man, if you missed the interview, I will be dropping the full one probably either later today or tomorrow after the morning show. It's about an hour with Brian Broadus. Absolutely fantastic nuggets from the show. But I love the part where Broadus, and there's a lot there, where Broadus was talking about if they're going to use LVE as a rusher more, they feel comfortable with Clark doing those middle linebacker things, right? And that got me to thinking, because we've seen this, and Pat, he'll be joining shortly. We talked about this with Pat. In fact, I think Pat kind of not broke it because he had an article that he wrote about this, but Scientific Method on the show, he said it. Hey man, they're doing pass rush things with Leighton Vander Esch way back in OTAs, right? And that got me to thinking, like, what role is Dan Quinn trying to get LVE to fill? Like, what does that look like there? And it hit me. And I just wonder if it's replacing Anthony Barr's role. Now, listen, Anthony Barr played a heavy role when he was on the field lining up on the defensive line. Now, look, he didn't move the needle as a player. So there's two different things here. Barr didn't move the needle as a player, but I think possibly Dan Quinn believes in the specific role that he played, and he's looking to train LVE to do more of it. I think it's why you see him legitimately with the defensive ends working, right? Why you see him with Aiden Durde trying to learn some pass rush moves. Because this is something that, not Anthony Barr, this is something that LVE has never done in his career, ever. He's never been a guy that's lining up on the defensive line majority of the time, or not majority of the time, but a bunch of times and rushing the passer or even dropping back from that standpoint. He was only on the defensive line last year 20 times. And what is one of the buzzwords that we talk about, Cowboys Nation, when it comes to this defense and when it comes to Dan Quinn? Versatility. Versatility. And I think if I had to guess, they're trying to unlock a versatile role from LVE. And you might say, well, why not with a Damone Clark? Why not with an Overshown? Because that's what I said, right? So I got to thinking again. Well, that role puts a lot on your plate. You have to have the mental bandwidth to be able to take what that role requires on top of what you need to do from a linebacker standpoint. And LVE 100% has the mental bandwidth. You can question if he has a physical, because that's different. Like the physicality to do that, that's why they're working on pass rush moves. That's why they're trying to get him comfortable down there, because it won't come natural to him. But if he's going to take on that quote unquote Anthony Barr role, again, 105 snaps, that's not something light. He played 105 snaps on the defensive line, and I think Dan Quinn values the role. So they're trying to put a guy who they think can handle it from a mental capacity, because what have we talked about plenty of times last year? You have to gain the trust of Dan Quinn if you are a young defensive player to get on that field. If you don't have the trust of that staff, they're not going to put you out there, because I'm not saying this is a Rob Ryan mad scientist. We don't know where everybody's going to be defense. But at the end of the day, there are responsibilities out there that if you blow it, you could mess up everything. And we've heard LVE talk about that. In fact, we've heard, Micah talk about that, and other players as well. Do your job. So it just got me to thinking, man, is this a situation where Dan Quinn is looking to keep that role but replace it with a different player? So with that said, man, let's go ahead and we can just ask that question straight to our guy, Patrick No C Walker, joining us today on the Scientific Method, Cowboys Nation. What's good, brother, man?
What is up, my boy?
Hey, man, look, we 2 weeks into camp, pads a couple days. We seeing it hitting, we seeing the competition. I'm fired up, brother. I know you are. You right down there in the middle of all of it.
Oh, I'm ready to pad up and run through a wall. Joe Wick Jr., I know I tweeted it last week. Joe Wick Jr. Was walking up behind me, and he mistook me for one of his safeties, and we kind of had a little funny joke about it. And then yesterday, I was kind of talking to DQ, and DQ was like, "Hey, man, you're looking like you could get out there." I was like, "Hey, 1 day contract. Let me know. Let me know.
1 day contract, retire as a Cowboy. Come on."
Yeah, 1 day contract. Start my career and end my NFL career as a Cowboy. And yesterday in the one-on-one I had with Dak, like after the fact, there was something that was in front of me, and I had to like plant and move, and I didn't think about it. You and I, former athletes, you just do it. And I heard behind me, Dak was like, "Now that's a route." I was like, "Throw me the ball then."
Put me in, coach.
What we talking about? Yeah, throw me the ball then. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Hey, you better relax, man. You might pull something. Better stretch before you get that ball thrown to you, dog.
Listen, you know how the NFL rules go. 1 day contract. So if I'm on contract and I get injured, I'm on IR. You got to take it anyway.
Get that check.
Come on, man. It's not my first rodeo. That's not checkers, baby.
Let me pick it up from there, bro, with the injury report. So we got a little bit of a nugget on Luke Schoonmaker possibly making his return soon. Izzy's, Sam and, Simi are guys that are out there. Can you kind of give us an update on these dudes?
Yeah, so Simi is dealing with something. I got to get confirmation on what it is exactly before we speak on it. But it's nothing major, nothing major. He set out of the second padded practice, and he did light work on rehab. So I expect to see him back on the field today, if not today, certainly in the walkthrough tomorrow, no later than early next week. So I'm not concerned about Simi. I've seen him walking around. He looks fine. He's in great spirits. I'll keep you guys updated on that.
Okay.
Schoonmaker is making some progress with that plantar fasciitis. He's not had the boot on since the day before the final day of minicamp, and he's also out here on the sidelines running kind of mental reps, doing some phantom drills. I posted a video of that for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, on Twitter. Make sure you check that out. So Schoonmaker, he could be making his camp debut here soon. I talked with Jordan Lewis off the record quite a bit last week, and he just continues to reiterate to me that he is actually slightly ahead of schedule, and he basically told me, hey, if we had a game today, I could play. So that's great news as far as where Jordan Lewis is and where he should be. But it also tells you that the Cowboys are being extremely cautious, rightfully so, the same way that they're being with Dorrance Armstrong. Hamstring tightness, no major issue there. Armstrong hasn't participated in padded practices just yet because he did report some tightness back there in the front of his hamstring. So they're working through that with Britt Brown and the rehab group. Sam Williams, I'm told it's a shoulder strain. I expect that he'll do individual drills again today. After individual drills a couple days ago, he was evaluated, not cleared to fully practice, so he's still trying to work his way back. No shoulder brace or anything right now. So looks like, he should not have a long-term issue. Trayvon Diggs made his return to practice, and boy, did he ever make his return to practice. And, of course, the storyline there is the jawing that he and Dak Prescott did. But for those that were actually here, the jawing aside, which is it's a non-story for me because former athletes, we've said much worse to each other.
It is not a story,
especially my generation, pre-political correctness, you wouldn't want to hear the things that I said to my teammates. But then afterwards, we were drinking, having fun, playing video games. So people who know, people who don't know, they're gonna, make a big story out of it.
Bro, we've said things about each other's moms, like
yeah.
That is nothing.
Nobody was safe when you were trash talking. Basketball practice, football practice. Hell, when I was running track and field, man, we do the long jump, turn around, and talk trash to the guy behind us. Like, trash talking is a rite of passage, and it helps build the brotherhood because KD and I, somebody better go watch Catch This Fade. KD and I have gone at each other, and it's all in good love. That's how you figure out who you want to be in a trench with, because if you can't go back and forth with me, how am I going to expect you to go back and forth and get into the mind of the opposition? So, no, I'm going to push you, and I want you to push me, and let's stick in each other's skin, and that's what it is. And I will also say this, but those that don't have access to practice and see the things that I see and our colleagues see and you see, Dak gives it as much as he takes it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Let's not, that's not a Care Bear. He's not out there doing the Care Bear stare. He puts it on, and then they give it back. But then when people never see the first punch, they always see the second punch.
You brought it up on Twitter, bro. You said if y'all could hear what Jaron Kearse says, if y'all could hear what Dak says,
they don't know.
Y'all, this would be a non-story, and it really is a non-story across the, to us. But Cowboys clicks happens.
Yeah. But then think about it, and then you got the people going out there for engagement and whatnot, and then you got the Eagles content creators camping out in bushes at, figuratively speaking. But around the league, you got Josh Allen. He, gets into a physical pushing match with one of his linemen, and then you get Travis Kelce. He's taking actual swings on his teammate in training camp. Go back to the previous generation, Cam Newton, Steve Smith. I mean, come on, right? So at the end of the day, this is nothing. Josh Norman, this is nothing new under the sun. If you play competitive sports, and this is what it looks like when the pads come on and the adrenaline starts going and the testosterone starts flying. But at the end of the day, Trayvon Diggs and Dak Prescott are still close friends. Trayvon Diggs' son, Aiden, still very much loves Dak Prescott. It's all love. It's all fun and games. And then at the end of the day, they're still walking around this training camp after the fact, which is what the public doesn't see on Twitter. They're walking around high-fiving, it's all the good stuff. It's a brotherhood, so it's a non-issue. Those who know.
Right. If you know, you know. Hey, Pat, before you came on here, I kind of just had this revelation, like, about the linebacker room and the whole, LVE being down at defense end, getting these reps. But I kind of just want to get a battle report update on the group in general, because we know LVE Clark are the top two guys, but if something happens to one of them, we got to count on some of these young guys behind them. So can you give us an update on that room overall?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you that Jonathan Hankins looks like Jonathan Hankins. Pre-injury, you lost him for a couple games last season, but when he was on the field, he was really that definitive run stopper, and he's doing the same thing out here in camp. Mozzie Smith, he needs to work on his get off a little bit, and he admitted that outright a couple days ago. I think he's learning that, as every NFL rookie would learn, right? Even though he's the first-round pick and he has all this strength, you got to keep in mind, he's going against Tyron Smith now. He's going against Tyron Smith now. He's going against Tyler Biadasz now. So these are guys with NFL strength, not Big Ten strength. So Mozzie Smith, still number one freak, still a monster, but give him a moment to kind of, get in there, bang around, and get his speed. I think he's going to be all right, because I saw some flashes yesterday that made me raise an eyebrow, like, there's Michigan Mozzie. Yeah. There he is. Neville Gallimore. A lot of people kept asking me about Neville Gallimore, rightfully so, coming into this camp. Gallimore has made some plays. On one in particular that I posted on Twitter, the play where Micah Parsons basically just obliterated both Tyron Smith and Michael Gallup, who was trying to chip. On that same play, that same video, look to the left, and you will see Neville Gallimore absolutely take Tyler Smith to school without a sack lunch. I mean, he led him all the way to the right, shed him. Next thing you know, Neville was in the backfield, and Tyler Smith was on the ground looking up like, what happened? So if you're doing that to a guy like Tyler Smith, and you're a guy who, I'm not going to say Gallimore is on the bubble, but you definitely need to prove yourself. Fantastic. Yeah, hot seat. I'll give you hot seat, absolutely. So Gallimore looks good. Quentin Bohanna, he's coming along, but I would like to see him come along a bit more, considering the pressure that's now put on him with the addition of Mozzie Smith, with the addition of Jonathan Hankins last year via trade. So I'd like to see more from Cubo. But someone else. Oh, Osa Odigizua. It looks like he's found another gear, even coming off of a career season last year. So, yeah, Osa's looking like he's going to be a whole problem and a half this year. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as the edges go, Sam got off to a little bit of a strong start, but now he's dealing with a shoulder injury. And he did get got a lesson taught to himself by one of the offensive linemen. But again, I don't anticipate that he's going to have a down season. I think he's going to have a breakout season. It's just lessons learned, going into year two. And he's studying hard on the Micah Parsons, who's just, I tell you what, the offensive line, they should probably form like a petition for Micah Parsons to have a day off so they can actually try to run a play. Because between Micah and Tank, like, how do you run a play? Like, people don't necessarily understand. They see the clips and they see us talking about Micah, but to see it in real time, and it's almost literally every other play. He's in the backfield. He's in the quarterback's face. He's already taking down the halfback, almost nearly before the halfback gets the ball. He said last week, I'm going to take him on an island. In deep water. I want to see if they can swim, end quote. He is not kidding around, folks.
He is not. So I've heard Will McClay bring up Damone Clark. Brian was on yesterday. He brought up things about Damone Clark. We're hearing some quality info on the year two linebacker out of LSU. Can you give us an update on Damone Clark, as well as Demo and Jabril Cox? These guys, these young linebackers that the Cowboys are going to be relying on this year.
Yeah, and like I said in our previous chat, Jabril Cox, he's coming on extremely strong. He looks like LSU Jabril Cox. There's really no other way to play it, no other way to say it. And it's not that it's something that began here in camp. Started in OTAs, I saw it in minicamp and reported on it in minicamp. So all of this is simply transferring over. So he's out there, he's making plays, he's making great reads, he's reacting. But for me, it's not necessarily the read that I'm looking for Jabril Cox. I'm looking for that as well. But I'm looking for the reaction because he's coming off of that torn ACL last year, so now he has more time removed. I want to see if he trusts his knee. Last year it didn't look like he trusted that knee. This year he's not thinking about it. He's just playing football, and it shows. So Jabril Cox doing great. DeMarvion Overshown, his eagerness to learn is what's going to carry him and shorten his learning curve here. And he is always in Dan Quinn's face, Joe Witt's face. He's always in Darian Thompson's face, the assistant linebackers coach. Like, he's in these guys' faces, always grilling them, asking them, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do differently? How can I be better? That's going to carry him a long way. Deep as far as Damone Clark, oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, let me just take a moment because this is just fantastic to even imagine. Damone Clark, again, keep in mind, this is a guy who was coming off of spinal fusion surgery last year. He didn't enter the season until midway through. A lot of people thought it would be a redshirt year. Not only did he play after having spinal fusion surgery in March and having no offseason program, so no OTAs, no mini camp, no training camp, and he still was able to not only impact the game, he struggled a couple of times, which made sense considering everything I just said he missed because of his surgery, but he was also still able to impact the game and save the Cowboys at that position along with LVE, because outside of that, when they lost Anthony Barr's injury, if not for Damone Clark, where's that linebacker core last year? Now he has an entire offseason of conditioning, strengthening, prep work, meetings with coaches, putting that on in display on the field, and he looks every bit the part of a Pro Bowl linebacker as we have this conversation. Damone Clark is going to be nasty. Mark my words.
Give me hype, man. Look, I know you pressed for time.
That's why I had to pause. I had to pause to take a breath. Yeah, because people don't know, but you're gonna know. You're gonna know here soon.
Come on, man. Let's go. But before you get going, man, you have a one-on-one with Dak Prescott, and shout out to KD who basically, was giving you flowers. Like, this is a major moment for you, brother. Like, we all, well, not all, but a lot of us have been watching your growth, and this is a big moment. But can you kind of give us a little teaser about the one-on-one with Dak? That I guess would be, what is it, airing, or is it dropping, or I'm not sure.
Well, it's on the website. It's on the .com. It's also on YouTube. And I also just dropped a teaser clip on Twitter 5 minutes before you and I went live.
Gotcha.
And there's the link to the full video and it's embedded in an article. So I wrote around it. So you kind of get a twofer there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving you a twofer, no paywall, free of charge. Go get some. But my goal was sitting down with Dak Prescott was basically I wanted him to open up his mindset and explain it to the fans. So it's not as much me grilling him as much as it is me positioning him with questions that force him to think and give fans the actual, as he rides by me on the bike throwing up the deuce right now, as he to give fans insight into not only what Dak Prescott sees is the single biggest thing that would keep the Cowboys from reaching the Super Bowl this year and how to overcome that. But also, what do they look to build on from the quarterback standpoint? What is he seeing? What would he like to see? So, I mean, it really just gives everybody some real deep insight into the psyche of the franchise quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So check that out again. It's on YouTube. It's on the DallasCowboys.com website. And if you go to my Twitter, @VoiceOfTheStar right now, you'll see the full link and the teaser video. So, yeah, go get some.
Yes, science.
Science, baby. Hey, Pat, appreciate you doing all the hard work down there, and then obviously joining us every week, giving us updates on the Cowboys training camp. It's Pat No C Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Appreciate Pat for joining us, Cowboys Nation. If you want to, keep up with him and hear some more on Pat and what's happening down there, I believe he's going to be on 105 through the Fan here in a second, giving his updates as he's obligated to do so here. That's the only thing that kind of sucks about training camp at this moment. The scientific method has to be a little shorter. Usually when we have Pat, we go, 30, 40 minutes. We'll talk about everything that we can, but we kind of got to squeeze this thing down into 15 minutes so he can get on with, I believe it's 105 through the Fan. I think Bobby and those guys. So we're kind of just, unfortunately, that's what we have to do. But even with that, he constantly comes in here and drops the science and gives us all the nuggets that he possibly can. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and switch change the subject here. Not necessarily change the subject, but get back to some of these practice notes and practice points from the other day as I got up. Here we go. Boom, there we go. All right, and if you want to call into the show, you can. Again, like I said, we're going to be direct today. It was going to be pretty short because I am heading down or going to try to have a chat with that. Shout out to the guy who hit me up, man, on Twitter and told me about this PC place. I'm going to check them out and try to figure that out. But if you want to call in, you can. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. Get it in while you can. I'm only going to do a few, and then we're going to keep it moving. Today's pretty short, but tomorrow I'll make up for it. In the meantime, in between time, what I wanted to do yesterday, but obviously with the show being what it was, we didn't do it, and I'm fine with not doing it because Brian Broaddus was fantastic. There were some practice notes on .com I wanted to get to, but I'll just start right here. I'll just start right here with picking up where we left off when talking about replacing this role for Anthony Barr. I think it was it was Kyle. Kyle Yeomans kind of went into detail about this specific role, right? He mentioned that, Dan Quinn is having LVE do some of the things that he's never done before. And that's rush from defensive end, do some defensive end things. And what I liked in this article about what Kyle Yeomans saw is, again, about Damone Clark. He says, quote, Clark has continued to grow into a defense after a full NFL season. He missed last summer with a neck injury that kept him out, but he looks bigger, leaner, while showing confidence, making smart reads, and taking the right first step consistently. That was always the thing, right? He's a rookie. It's going to happen. You're going to misstep, false steps. He just fortunately was athletic enough to make up for those false steps. But if he doesn't have as many false steps, Damone Clark is always going to be in that right spot. And with the way, Pat kind of set it up with the defensive tackles, with how Coach Floyd talked about attacking these guys, right? Disrupting these keys so guys like Clark and Demo and Cox and Harper and LV, whomever it is over there, can fill those gaps easier. I think it's going to help these dudes much, much better than it did last year when you didn't really have those guys in front of them. So I love to hear that from Nick. From Kyle, from Brian, from Pat, and whoever else is down there that's getting an eye on what's happening with Damone Clark. All right, we do got a couple calls. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4. We're going to get to all 4. And then we're going to try to figure this computer thing out. Let's talk to CT Madden here. What's good, brother?
What's going on, man?
What's happening with you?
I'm just calling, bro. I haven't heard anything on Isaiah Land and Fehoko.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see what. Yeah, I know you probably don't know.
Now
we both not there.
Yeah. We talked about that yesterday on Vacha's show. Somebody brought up Junior Fehoko, and I legitimately was like, yo, I completely forgot he was on the team. And that's kind of what sucks when you're not down there. Those are the people, the type of players we were looking at when we were at camp. Like I was looking at, the 6th and 7th round guys, just trying to figure it out, undrafted guys, just to keep my eye on them. But I haven't heard much. But there are people down there. Maybe we'll ask Pat next week. We'll talk to whomever we can Monday about it. But I have know nothing about Junior, and I haven't heard much about Isaiah Land either. But this is the point in time, right, where these guys are likely working with the third team or whatnot, and the first and second units, they're trying to get this thing together, ramp up for the season. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Law said Isaiah's looking good. So there's a general.
That's what Law said?
Yeah, he's in the chat. Shout out to Law Nation. There's a general consensus on Isaiah Land. He's looking good.
Well, I like to hear. All right. Appreciate you, my guy. Good luck to getting that PC.
Oh, man, I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. Appreciate it. Somebody in the chat. Was it you, Brother L? Who said during the Pat Walker call, did y'all see that Dak Prescott interview? Yeah, you had to be at the show yesterday. You had to be in the Washington Live show yesterday, man. 757, what it is, what it do?
What's going on, Sky, man?
What's up, man?
Yeah, man, I'm just calling, man. I'm just I'm kind of ready for the preseason start, man. But I'm happy to hear Jabril doing better. He progressing. You know, especially coming off two seasons removed from that ACL injury. So I'm ready to see what he's gonna do, man, and how his role gonna be this year. You know what I mean? Just to see how he does, and just like we said, man, as far as that, Dak and Trayvon, man, you got some people talking about that. It just, like you said, man, it's a story to me. I believe, like I said, you never played sports before. Hell, if you ain't even got homeboys, even your homeboys, man, being competitive in certain stuff, man, y'all gonna trash talk each other, call each other names. It's been worse, man. You know what I'm saying? The next day or that day, y'all gonna be right back cool. You know what I'm saying? Doing whatever. So that's nothing, man.
The story,
like I tell people,
I think the story would have been if Trayvon Diggs just stole off on Dak and they got into a fight. That is a bit different. That would have been different, but that didn't happen, man. So
nah. Words is words, man. I mean, I know some hit harder than others. That's nothing, because I'm quite sure Dak probably done said worse to him.
He said that.
They go at it. You know what I'm saying?
He had an interview the other day, and he said, "I'm just thankful y'all didn't catch what I said to him before that." So,
yeah. Just if you look at, I tell people, go look at the if you remember the kind of the video of Trayvon and Stephon Diggs going at it a couple years ago with Cam Newton being the quarterback, and they was out there, going against each other. I don't know if you remember that. Mm-hmm. And Stephon called Trayvon the same thing he called that. That's what he called his own brother.
And it's his brother.
He don't respect his brother, and that's his brother. You know what I'm saying? And they competing at the time. You know what I mean? So it's just a non-story, man.
It's you got the star on your helmet. I always tell y'all be wary of fluff, right? That this is how they get engagement. It's how they get clicks. This is what it is. That's why you need to tune in these type of shows, because we talking ball here, man. We talking about trash talk,
man,
but it's real life. Shout out to, I think it was Tuck, who said this part of time is not for the bubblegum fans, right? Y'all, that's bubblegum stuff, man. Like, there's real life football to talk about out there, and we talking about trash talk.
Yeah, exactly. And real quick, like I said, man, I thank y'all guys for, man, y'all, so all y'all content, you, man, just all the content creators, all the boys, man, guys that I watch, man. Thankful for y'all content and what y'all do, because I no longer even watch like the mainstream media, the ESPNs, the NFL networks, because they don't give the real content. And even though, look at the Pat McAfee show, Dan Alaska was up there talking about he's worried about what's coming out of Dallas on that. I'm like, man, what are you looking at?
He's not listening.
To?
Yeah,
because they're not listening. Y'all just making up stuff. Like, come on now, y'all gotta do better than that. So I don't even tune into them, man, because there's nothing real coming out there. They just, putting out stuff with clicks and headlines and views.
There's a blueprint. I think it might even be unspoken or whatever, but there's a blueprint. They know about it, and they do it well, man, and it works for them. And now what you're seeing is you're seeing, unfortunately, people in our lane from other teams falling for that same blueprint. And we're supposed to be fighting that, right? Like, we're at the end of the day, if you're in this lane, I don't mean to sidebar this thing. If you're in this lane, we actually trying to fight that situation. But these dudes is falling right for it, and they looking just as goofy.
Yeah, exactly, man. But, man, I appreciate all y'all guys, man. Wish I would have just, I caught on about a year ago, but wish I would have caught on sooner, man. But I appreciate all y'all guys, what y'all guys do, man.
Thank you for the kind words, good brother.
Yeah.
Salute.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy.
Towboat Ty just dropped one. I was just about to go to these super chats real quick. Appreciate you, Towboat.
Super chat.
He said we got football tonight. Might be the backups for the Browns and Jets, but I don't care. I got a new 75-inch 4K yesterday, just in time for football season. Damn. Yeah, I think it was Will Burney earlier who said it's the Hall of Fame game. Does anybody care? Yes. Look, don't get it twisted, man. I'm 100% about the Cowboys, right? But I love football first. Like, I love the sport first. So I'm watching whatever I can when it comes to football. So preseason on tonight, you damn Skippy, I'm watching 100%. And my boys are too. Professor O said, yes, I care. Football is back. 100%. Let's get 682. What's good, 682?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You live?
Hey, how you doing? Very big
I'm
fan.
good, thank you,
I
sir.
just had a couple comments about what the last caller was kind of piggybacking on about Dak Prescott. Something I noticed, I think I heard it on one of the bigger networks, was that Dak's game-winning drives for like his first 3 or 4 seasons was like near the top of the league, like 14 or something like that. And it almost correlates with Kellen Moore becoming an offensive coordinator. His game-winning drives since then has been only about 3.
You know
and
what
I just think that
you know what I love about that, and I don't like patting on my back, toot my own horn. You didn't hear that on a big network. You know where you heard that?
Okay, right here,
right
A
here.
to Z.
you
Yeah,
heard it right here, bro. Cause let me tell you something.
No, I listen to.
They would never bring that up on the networks. They would never. They would never do
that. They would never do it, but I heard a lot of people talking about Dak in such a way where it's like, I just think Kellen Moore has all of this respect in the coaching world that I don't think he earned. And the explosion with the offense that happened with Kellen Moore and Dak when they got together, I believe it was more Dak just playing a different style or whatever. And another comment I wanted to make a comment on about the bigger networks for sure say this. They say that Schultz, every time I hear Schultz's name, they say that's Dak's security blanket. And it kind of makes me cringe because Schultz was a 4th-round pick, and he wasn't even pegged to be the guy. It was Blake Jarwin. And Blake Jarwin ended up getting hurt. And Dak, in my opinion, made Schultz as he made I believe he got Cooper paid. Yeah. I believe Dak got Cooper paid. I believe Dak got Cole Beasley paid. I believe Dak got Cedric Wilson paid. Yeah. All of these guys that he got paid, and there's still a narrative out there like, oh, Dak security blanket. Or
what's
Dak
your name, brother?
James.
James, you saying some real ish right now, and I want to go back to something you just said about you essentially are saying like you think Dak helped elevate Kellen, not the other way around, right?
Exactly.
And that Kellen was getting all this undeserved praise as this, smartest guy in the room. You're so spot on with that, and here's why. When Dak Prescott was not in that lineup in 2020, 2022, 21, how did the offense operate? Like and there's like a good 7 or 8 games. I'm talking about the offense because we know last year the defense carried those. I'm talking about the offense. How did it operate? All those gaudy numbers they love to throw out there about Kellen Moore, right? They throw those gaudy numbers out. You remove Dak Prescott from that equation, there are no gaudy numbers. So let me do the inverse of that. The opposite of a guy that needs to get that type of praise and has and deserves it. Kyle Shanahan.
Yes, sir.
Does Kyle Shanahan ever had a Dak Prescott in San Francisco? No. Kyle Shanahan has ran through a bunch of quarterbacks and consistently put up top numbers. Took a dude, Brock Purdy, bro. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. And put up 30-some points per game with him because he is a guy that knows how to put these dudes in best position. He needs to get himself a real franchise quarterback, but he's shown in the league that I don't necessarily need that to win and compete for the NFC. So that's a guy that deserves that type of praise. Kellen Moore is still working to that. However, Cowboys, Dak, we know how that goes. But they didn't want to talk about that, bro, and I'm glad you pointed it out.
And I just got one more thing. Historically, coaching has been about your coaching tree. All my life, looking at coaches that were hired, you had to come off a specific tree, whether it was Sean Payton coming from Parcells or the big Bill Belichick tree that everybody comes from. And it's like the game transitioned more to analytics on the field. I think it transitioned to analytics in the front office also because they're not worrying about the actual tree, like the actual coaching tree. They're just worrying about the numbers that happened that year when in previous seasons it's like, hey, this guy came from Marty Schottenheimer. This guy came from the Shanahans. This guy. Now it's just like this guy has, I guess, good numbers and statistics. So I really see the analytics kind of like hurting the game right now. And that's pretty much what I had to say.
Interesting. And it's funny because if we get a guy on tomorrow, our guest, he's a big analytics guy. I don't know that it's hurting it. I think the coaches have welcomed analytics. I think they fought it for a while, and they've welcomed it. If anything, right, you could say fantasy because people definitely, like casual fans, play fantasy football, and if you have a fantasy player and they don't go off, they might think, oh, this guy's a scrub. But if they play a specific role, no, he was a glue player for the team, et cetera, et cetera. But I think I think there's a middle ground with analytics for sure. And I think coaching trees still, to an extent, still do matter. Doug Peterson comes from an Andy Reid coaching tree, right? You're looking at the McVay coaching tree, which really is an extension of the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan situation, right? Like there's still guys in this league that have come up the right way. But to go back to what you said, 100% agree. There is, I think, unjust credit being thrown to Kellen's way, and he didn't come up through the mud. He hasn't earned that just quite yet, So
yes. Well, thank you, man. I'm looking out for the show. I'm gonna start being able to contribute to you guys' movement. And yeah, man, I'm rooting for you guys. I watch Vach too. That's my guy also. And yeah, man, you guys, I can't wait for you guys covering the whole league. Not just the Cowboys. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, but you guys got the chops for the whole league. So,
man, I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Before I elected to go 120% into this, and my third attempt at broadcasting, whatever, was covering the whole league. It was basketball and football for the most part, with the mixture of culture. I had a podcast back home, First Down Podcast. So yeah, I think I've had this conversation with Vach. That is kind of the next step, all about covering the Cowboys, but I definitely would love to cover most of the league. Honestly, it's hard to do that and do it right. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to turn into these networks where I don't want to say the specific name, but they've pretty much admitted, oh, I don't watch this team. I just box score. I'll just research. Nah. I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to do that. And that's why I stuck with my boys, because it's like I'm 1,000% in with these dudes. I know the 6th guard, and I can talk to you about them. I don't know the 6th guard in Cincinnati, So I don't want to cheat the grind, because if you cheat the grind, it will know. 100% it will know. Nacho, what's up, man? Haven't heard from you in a while.
It's been a while, Sky. How you been? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. It's a fantastic start to camp. Little nuggets keep dropping from people down there, and we got Cowboys preseason game in 9 days?
Absolutely. Hey, listen, real quick. I was up there at camp. I was able to make it up Thursday, and then opening day ceremonies on Saturday. And I bumped into Law Nation there in West Coast Cowboy. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was really nice. What I see so far, and based on the earlier callers and some of the questions in terms of how some of these receivers are doing and so on, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you some nuggets of some players that are not the big name players, but that are getting a lot of attention, or should I say, in a better way, are actually being productive and are standing out. Jalen Brooks, number 83, is a player that is just he's just shining. I mean, he's getting plays, and who's that 83? And we're like, wait, who is that guy? Oh, okay. So he, Fehoko and Jalen Tolbert. Tolbert is running with that first team offense often. He looks physically strong, and he just looks like he's in tune to what's happening and what's going on in there. I see the offense just more. I mean, of course, it's training camp, but it just seems like they're in sync. The receivers know where to go, where to be. The offense seems. There were times that you would see the offense. I mean, just driving the ball down to the red zone on the defense, and the defense is kind of on their heels. And I was like, whoa, okay. So there's more. There's a rhythm in the thing with McCarthy. McCarthy's right by Dak Prescott, Schottenheimer as well, it's like they're actually working and they're pacing it and they're going. Dak's going in that huddle. He's got that command and he's moving. So it's good to see that type of pace out there. And then who is it again? I was going to talk about number 30. Number 30 is a safety. Is it Thomas?
Thomas. Yeah.
Okay. Another guy that's also out there, and you're like, wait, this guy's getting some reps a lot. So I'm going to say
the safety room is suffering a couple injuries. And I think I want to say we talked to Brian yesterday about it during Pad Week, and he said guys like Wanye Thomas were stepping up. Kyle Young has also brought this up as well. Who was the other guy I'm missing? I think out there to safety. Oh, Tyler Coyle. Tyler Coyle was another guy. So these down roster safety dudes are getting a chance to kind of staple. And Marquise Bell. Marquise Bell has been a guy that's been showing up too.
And that's another guy. I think that if I remember correctly, you liked as well when he was coming about. And right now with the injuries, I mean, Marquise Bell, like this is your golden opportunity to show what you got out there, and he looks pretty good as well. And nice to see Deuce in the mix there. I mean, seeing him in person is amazing. I mean, he's a small statured football player, but man, he's strong in the lower body, and he looks elusive. And
my feel is Deuce is going to get involved, man. He's going to be involved.
Oh man, I hope so, right? I hope so. But overall, I'll end with this: is that the defense, the defense, and Gilmore out there with Tiggs on the outside, and we just look bigger up front, Sky, if you will. We look bigger, we look beefier. Linebackers are moving well, and I don't know. It's just an exciting feeling, and everything. And I liked what I saw in the 2 days, and just excited for the season. You know what I mean?
Indeed, Nacho. I appreciate the call, man, and the detailed, in-depth analysis that you've seen down there at camp, brother. Thank you.
All right, my man. Have a good one. Thank you.
You as well. Salute.
Good day.
Jump Cam, I don't know why, this ever since Elon bought Twitter, bro. It's just been a shit show over there. I don't know why my DMs are messed up. I'm going to continue to investigate and try to. I've never locked them, so. But I know what you're talking about, because I've tried to DM certain people, athletes or media people to try to get on the show, and they're like, oh, you can't DM. And it's like, well, what the hell is going on? So I'll try to figure it out, bro. Email me, skywalkerstill@gmail.com. Email me and we'll talk. 18 years of IT, I definitely want to pick your brain about that. But when I did go to Twitter, shout out to my guy Landon, who does fantastic work. Follow Landon on, I think he does most of his work on TikTok. But he's everywhere: Twitter, TikTok, the Lando Show. I went in there and I checked, and he mentioned the Tyron thing, right? We talked about the Tyron Smith thing at the beginning of the show, where I think it was D Schiff who talked about, I guess, the lineman catching or being passive or something like that. So I went and I looked at the Tyron Smith interview, and the thing about Tyron, and this, I'll say this again, like, he's not really going to give you a lot. He don't want to be there in general. He's a guy that's stage fright, don't really want to talk to the media, but he's obligated to, likely because he's contractually obligated to. So they asked him, like, hey, we're hearing a lot about changes in the pass protection. And he said, what is that? What is the changes in the pass protection? What is Solari talking about here? And I think he said, quote, I wanted to make sure I got it right. He said, quote, we're not sitting there waiting for the fight. And then that was it. And I don't know what to take from that, right? So what I'm hoping they do is when they get Tyler Smith on the show, they ask Tyler Smith, like, hey, what is that about? Like, what can you go in further detail what that means? Because that seems to be counterproductive in pass blocking, right? To just like sit back and wait, in a sense, or stop former all pro offensive linemen, playing with their instincts to get the punch. And now Vach, since you're here, maybe later we can talk about that, because we tried to make sense of it yesterday, but that seems weird, man. And that could be why a guy like Duke is not high on Joe Philbin and his teachings as an offensive line coach. So I don't know, Lando. I don't know what that means in the sense of why are you catching? You know, if you are, I don't know, bro. So I ain't gonna act like I got the answers. I don't got the answers, Sway. I don't got them. Stop, brother. I don't know why my damn DMs is like this. I don't really. I mean, you go on Instagram, Drummer Cam. If you have an Instagram, I don't partake on Instagram like that, but I do have it for situations like this as well. So you can hit me up on Instagram too, man. Vach, you know how I feel about these interviews, dog. You know how I feel about it. But to be fair, Tyler, you said they rather ask Tyler about no. They fool. If you watch all the Tyler Smith interviews and you waste precious time on nonsense, I know you got to find a way to loosen up or whatever, and there's just got to be better ways to do it. You just got to be. I ain't trying to tell nobody how to do their job. Them dudes been in the radio longer than me, but there's just a realness to people, right? But whatever. If you waste your time asking them nonsense questions when you know Tyler Smith can give you some really damn good answers, you're doing a disservice. Straight up. Straight up. Don Trail is the reason why they're locked. All right, man. Let me get to these super chats before we get out of here. Because I really am reaching out. I think it was Micro Center. So anybody knows about Micro Center, y'all let me know.
Super chat.
Towboat dropped one earlier, got him. And then I don't know if I got to you yesterday, brother L. Did I get to you about this? About the Twitter X? Yeah, I think we did. I think we did talk about the Twitter X. And somebody, when I went back and watched the show, I did see somebody say, I think it was you, Toxic. You talked about it being something that you kind of need as a media member, and that's kind of true too. So maybe I'll look into that, man. Maybe I'll look into it.
Super chat.
Chris Ortiz just dropping one. Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you very much. Getting to this chat, and we're going to keep it moving here. No OT today, man. No OT, unfortunately. Sky got the big dog in the chat. Salute, Vach. Well, Rico, if you're not aware, Vach Lombardi live every day, Monday through Thursday, I should say. Me and Vach are live on the Volume and the Vach Lombardi channel. Make sure y'all check that out. About 3:15, and we give you all a fantastic show, man. You cannot miss shows, and apparently you can't miss interviews. You can't miss interviews. Email skywalkersteel@gmail.com. That's simple. That's simple. Let's see here. More aggressive pass sets, says No Waves, like not giving up ground, I think. No ways, maybe. Look, I don't even want to attempt to act like I know, brother. I don't. And this is why I kind of wish they pushed a little bit harder. Like, what does that mean? But here's why I'll give them credit. They know Tyron. They do this every year. He's been around ever since they've been going to Oxnard for the most part. So they're not going to press him because they know Tyron's not the dude to press. So I'll give them that credit. But bro, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I would love to. We'll talk to Vosh later. I would love to talk to Duke because Duke talks to these coaches and he's playing with these players. He obviously is close with Tyron Smith. So we're actually trying to get him on a damn show, but it's tough. He has a busy schedule right now.
Super chat.
Chris Ortiz dropped another one and said they might be running old school Hawaii pass pro, half roll, pass pro. They might be. You might be right. I don't know, dog, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it. I promise you. We'll do our investigative journalism reporting, and we'll get to the bottom of what that means, man. Because Tyron ain't gonna tell us. We'll definitely pull it out. Cole says, "Is there media access today?" If I'm not mistaken, yes, there is. It's an open practice. Law Nation, who's in the chat, shout out to the OG Law. He will be down there. If you're not on Law's channel when he's doing the live streams, you're missing out. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, Law, but we broke down a play from your live stream where we did the slant sluggo, and I'm getting giddy about these concepts. So that's stuff you miss if you're not watching Law's live streams when he's down there at camp. So make sure I check that out. If KJ talking to anyone, he better have his lawyer. Come on, Toxic. Come on, man. But yeah, I wanted to talk today about the linebackers. That was kind of the emphasis of today's show prior to getting in and talking to Pat. because I think it is interesting that they're not just, we're putting LVE down there from time to time. I think there might be something to them trying to replace what Anthony Barr did. So that was on my mind. I wanted to chat to y'all about that. I'm going to be honest. I can't fake the funk to you. I got to see LVE have some ridiculous, successful pass rush reps for me to feel like this makes any sense. But in DQ, I trust. In DQ, I trust. I get it. I think I know what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to, remain multiple, remain versatile. They want everybody out there to be multiple and versatile. And Barr was that. Barr didn't move the needle as a person, but his role, maybe they think, can move the needle. And I just don't think that Overshown and Damone Clark are ready. I don't know if they have the mental bandwidth right this second to take on all of that on their plates, especially when you're a middle linebacker, or if you're going to be the middle linebacker, right, in these situations. You have to, and I'm talking about Clark, you've got to make sure guys are in the right spot. You got to know really what everybody is doing. He talked about that. LVE talked about that. And LVE has the mental bandwidth. He's the quarterback of the front seven, green dot guy until J-Ron Kurtz took it over. But if J-Ron, something happens to him, he's green dot guy. He's been around, 6-year veteran or whatever it is. So, he's a guy that can take on this role mentally. Can he take on this role physically? I have my doubts at this moment. I'm going to need him to give me some confidence. I need him to give me some confidence, man. With that said, I appreciate y'all for coming through today. Like I said, later on, Vosh Lombardi live show. Make sure y'all come through about 3:15-ish. We will be recapping the day. That's what I love about that time frame for the show. We'll be likely recapping what we see down there at camp and hear about down there at camp. And then just, chat it up and cut up like we do, man. We on the ups. That's all I'm going to say about that one. We on the ups. And then Mo will be on later tonight for the final show of the week, A to Z Sports Prime Time. Make sure y'all come through and check out our guy, Mo. And if you miss him live, he's constantly writing on A to Z Sports Dallas.com. I think he's one of our lead writers. It's funny because I want to say senior, but Mo, ain't nothing senior about Mo, right? So, but he is one of our lead guys. Obviously, when you're doing this and you're writing, you got to be talented, and he is. So make sure y'all check out Mo's work, as well as Matt, as well as all of our fantastic writers on A to Z Sports Dallas.com. Let me hit this button, man. We got football, baby. Football's back today. Who watching, man? Where y'all watching? I'll be on Twitter. Holla at me on Twitter, man. Let's chat it up, have fun. We'll do a virtual watch party. I ain't coming back in front of the camera. I do that twice a day. I need to chill. I'll holla at y'all. Love y'all. Peace.
Let me talk to you.
What's X? It will forever be Twitter, man. Oh, he's not senior, he's senior. Senior Money in the Bank.